It's been 35 years and I still regret leaving. I never thought I would be posting something like this, but after 35 years, I still can't shake off the feeling of regret. I got married when I was 18 to my high school sweetheart. She was an extrovert who could capture a room, while I was an introvert who preferred to stay in the background. We were a good match, and by the time we were 25, we had 2 small children, and I was content with my life. But then, things started to change when my wife got a new job and began excelling. She was getting promotions, working late, and I began to feel resentful towards her. Instead of talking to her about how I felt, I began to cheat on her with a woman I met at work. We spoke over the phone frequently, and things turned inappropriate quickly. I wrote my wife a birthday card telling her how much I loved her, and then 2 weeks later, I walked out on her. I took my things while my children were in the other room, completely unaware of what was going on. My wife just stood there silently crying. I broke the best person in my life, and she lost her job because she couldn't manage the school run or extra child arrangements. I resented her for having to pay more alimony, but looking back on it now, I realize how selfish I was. I only saw my children every other Saturday, and my AP and I fizzled out almost immediately. She didn't want something serious with me, especially when I was almost broke from paying alimony. My wife was and still is the strongest person I know. She never let me know how much I hurt her, but I heard her crying herself to sleep every night I had to stay over for something with the kids. I spent years resenting her for stealing my money, but in reality, I knew it was my fault. I still loved her, but I was too proud to admit it. Even though I left, she was the one who eventually filed for divorce because every time she asked me if I had gotten a lawyer, I would say, "I'm not ready." I said some really awful things to her when I was angry, like I didn't love you for a long time. I stayed for the children, and every time she just said nothing back. I will never forgive myself for that. She wanted to try to make it work, and she fought for me every day for months, but I wasn't interested. She loved me even when I hated her. Then she met Mark, who was older and wiser. He loved her the way I should have loved her. He was and is a good man to her and my children. Watching someone else love the person you were supposed to love forever is quite possibly the worst thing I've ever had to do. I blurted out "I love you" to her 2 weeks before her wedding, and she looked at me and said, "Then you should have fought for me, because I would have loved you forever if you'd let me." On the day of her wedding, I sat outside the church in my car, telling myself I would object to the wedding, but I didn't. That was 30 years ago, and seeing that written in front of me now is just as painful as it was hearing it all those years ago. Having to watch her with him all these years has been my punishment. I've had the odd relationship, but nothing serious. I will never forgive myself for what I did. It should have been our 42nd wedding anniversary today. Infidelity is something that you never really get over. I think you learn to live with it, but it never truly goes away.